What is the difference between cluster and non-cluster indexes? Cluster index determines the physical order of the rows in a table. Cluster index determines the physical order of rows in a table. So cluster index determines the physical order of rows in a table, and a table can have only one cluster index. A table can have only one cluster index. So cluster indexes is faster for range queries and order by and primary key lookups. Cluster index is faster for range queries, order by and primary key lookups. So cluster index is automatically created on the primary key. So cluster indexes are automatically created on the primary key. So the example is create cluster index, create cluster index and index name on employee ID. So whatever you, it is a employee ID is a primary key. So here you are applying the cluster index. So it is automatically created. If it is not created automatically, so you can create with this syntax, like create cluster index and index name on employees of the column name, right? So what is the non-cluster index? So non-cluster index is a separate structure. It is a separate structure. So what non-cluster index will do, right? So it created a separate structure from the table that stored the sorted index key values. So and so separates the structure from the table that stores the sorted index key values and pointer to the actual data rows in the table. So it will create in a separate structure from the table and stores the indexed values and a pointer to the actual table. It is like in a pointer to the actual table in a actual rows. Okay, sorry. So it is an actual rows in the table. So scenarios like searching by non-primary key columns like last name, email, status. So we can have a table can have multiple non-cluster indexes. A table can have multiple non-cluster indexes. A table can have multiple non-cluster indexes. So when you frequently search and filter the data on based on non-primary key values columns, a non-cluster index greatly improves the performance by avoiding the full table scan. See, for example, you are not applied the cluster and non-cluster indexes. So what will happen? So in a database, it uh, data is stored in a heap like structure. So wherever the storage is there, that stores there. So for example, you have in a room, your room is there, so your bag is one side and your laptop is one side and your bed sheet is there one side. So it is like it is not in a order. So if it is not in a order, how you wanted something, right? You wanted to laptop, so tomorrow you have an interview, you need to attend that interview. So your room is zigzag, so in that case you need to find your laptop. So and for example your notes also. So in that time you wanted to take the notes and laptop, so the time will be taken much, that time will be taken so to find that. So if you are using the cluster and non-cluster indexes, so at that time you can directly you have an in a room, you have a shelf, in the shelf you put your laptop and your book. So at that So you can directly enter into the room, so you will directly access that whatever you a laptop or a book, you can take it and study it well. Same like here also, cluster and not cluster is worked. Yeah. So see, without a cluster index and non-cluster index, SQL servers uses the heap structure. That means data is not stored in a particular order. This makes search operations slower, and SQL server just writes the rows wherever there is a space. So I said right, wherever there is a space, you just put it your laptop there and your bed sheet there. One book is there and another book is there. So like that. So your so you can see here, this makes search operations slower. So searching is slower, and mm, so in a database it is not stored like in a rows, and it is not stored like in a structure. So it is stores like in a data pages. For example, you have in a hundred records. So yeah, what it will do, right, 10 records in a one page, and 10 records in a one page, like that it will store in a 10 pages. So if you apply the cluster and non-cluster indexes, then it will directly go to the third page. So for example, you are searching for the 35 number, 35 number truth. So what it will do, so it will directly go to the third page. In the third page, from 30 to 40, it is searching in a, it will find in a 35th row. So this will make you uh, search operation, it will easy and faster. So retrieval of particular row, and it has to scan every row in a every page. Without cluster index, it has to scan every row and every page to find the match. This is called a full table scan, right? So it will scan the full table. So that's why we create a cluster and non-cluster index to avoid the full table scans, jump directly to the data needed. So this is the use of the cluster and non-cluster index. Thank you. Bye.